If you're an investor buying land, or a real estate developer, or a business owner looking to expand and in the process of site selection, well, there aren't a ton of resources out there to help you. You probably know you need to do some due diligence before buying the property, but you might not even know where to start. And when you do start, how do you even know you're doing things in the right order? Well, it's a problem, and really a lack of experience and knowledge of the land buying and real estate development process leaves you exposed to serious financial risks and time delays. But I'm here to help demystify the process for you a little bit. So keep watching as we take a deep dive into sequencing your real estate due diligence and land entitlement tasks. What's up, everyone? It's Matt Marsh, founder of Marsh & Partners. Marsh & Partners is a development and national consulting firm that helps business owners and investors maximize their real estate and transform their businesses. Now, this whole concept of sequencing your due diligence activities when buying land's foreign to many. When you buy a house, it's pretty straightforward. You call your attorney, start getting some title work done, get an inspector to walk through the house, get a surveyor out to the property, and an appraisal if you're working through a bank. But if you think about it, all your due diligence happens around the same time. You might want to wait for the inspection to come back before you spend money on a survey, but really that's about it. And even if you're talking about buying a commercial investment property, it's not much more complicated either. You want to do some research into the existing leases. You'll probably want to do complete an environmental assessment, but there isn't much by way of sequencing your activities. But when it comes to land entitlement and land development, those tasks, they compound on one another. And items you investigate often lead to more questions and further investigations. And I get a lot of questions from my consulting clients about how to best do it and how to do it as inexpensively and efficiently as possible. So I wanted to put together a video to help answer some of those questions and hopefully help you avoid some of those time-intensive and expensive mistakes in the future. Now, one of the benefits of being in the real estate development industry full-time is you begin to understand all the free resources that are available to help you when investigating a property. Before I put a property under contract, I can conduct my own feasibility study. I'll typically start with the local municipality's GIS records. The GIS tool, it offers a great place to begin assessing a property. I can research everything from a site's ownership and legal information to its topography, access to utilities, zoning information, and much more. And it gives me a much better high-level understanding of a property before I put it under contract. And from there, I might use Google Earth to get a better view of the site's physical characteristics and the property's tax and deed records for an understanding of the property's ownership and sales history. Now, if your plan is to develop the property, you might consider investigating any applicable future land use maps for information on the municipality's vision for the site. Wetlands and flood maps, they can help you better understand the composition of the soils and determine how much of the site is actually buildable. And you'll likely need to formally examine all of these again before you purchase the property, but there's a lot that you can understand about the feasibility of a land site early on without spending a ton of money. Now, here's another thing to think about. In order to give yourself enough time to sequence and complete your due diligence activities, you need to properly structure your contract. Before you can break ground on the land, and before you can break ground on a land development, there's a series of milestones that must be met. Now, if you have a copy of Marsh & Partners' land acquisition and site selection due diligence checklist, you might be overwhelmed by the laundry list of things you need to take care of. But not only do these tasks take time, they also cost money. And everyone in the development and construction industries is so busy right now that just getting someone out to your property for a survey honestly can take a couple of months. So to help with all that and to reduce your risk during pre-development, allowing yourself enough time is critical to a successful land purchase. And we have a separate video on actually structuring real estate development land contracts that walks you through exactly what you need to know to set your project up for success. So check out that video and check out the video description for more info. Now, here's where the rubber meets the road. In a perfect world, your due diligence period is when you get a bulk of your pre-development and land entitlement tasks complete. That will ensure you have a high level of confidence that your project's actually going to be approved before you're forced to close on the property. But, where do you start? And what's your first step once you actually put a property under contract? Well, that's where the real question lies. Now, the short answer is it depends on what kind of land you're buying and what kind of project you're pursuing. So let's say I'm buying a large tract of rural land for single family homes, maybe 30 minutes outside of the nearest city. Well, based on my experience, there are a couple of things you'll want to consider right away. Many times, rural land's been passed down in the same family for generations, and this often poses challenges for obtaining a title commitment. You'll want an attorney on board quickly to begin title work. And depending on if the site has access to public utilities, well, a soil analysis to determine septic system suitability, that will also be critical. And if the site does have access to utilities, do the utilities even have the capacity to support your proposed project? And is the site encumbered by streams or wetlands? Because often, they might not even appear on the maps or overlays that you invested before putting the property under contract. So a stream and wetland determination would be critical to determine how much of the site is actually usable and buildable before putting a site sketch together. Now, all these items could be deal breakers for your project. Critical feasibility items, they should be investigated early and expeditiously so you can get the answers that you need before committing more capital towards land entitlement. Now, let's say instead you're buying an infill property. It will most likely have access to public utilities, but the size and shape of the lot may be much more of a friction point. And depending on your proposed use, zoning and land use regulations could also play an important factor. Typically, I'd hire a civil engineer as quickly as possible to begin a site layout sketch and to discuss zoning, design, and stormwater concerns. And depending on the site layout, and following a municipal pre-submittal meeting, I'd be much more informed about key items that would need to be investigated next and how to sequence my due diligence activities. Now, the last phase of pre-development you need to consider sequencing are your land entitlement tasks. Once a project has been greenlit and all critical real estate due diligence items have been investigated for project feasibility, you're ready to go jump full steam into the land entitlement process. Land entitlement is a series of component steps required to achieve full legal development approval. And depending on the type of property and the proposed use, the process to achieve those full approvals will really look vastly different. For instance, if your property needs to be rezoned, well, that would need to happen before you can get full site plan approval. If you need a variance or a conditional use permit, you'll have to appear before the Board of Adjustment and receive approval before you can proceed with development as well. Now, in some cases, the site plan review process can go concurrently with building plan review, but this poses additional entitlement, timeline, and cost risks. The important thing is understanding that before you can break ground, you need all required permits and municipal approvals for your land development project. Now, this video is meant to serve as a guide of sorts for your real estate due diligence and land entitlement tasks. The key really is to determine, based on your intended use, what due diligence items are deal breakers. You'll want to investigate those items as early as possible, so you're ensuring that you're not needlessly spending money on examinations that end up really proving useless down the road anyway. Now, grasp of the real estate development process is helpful in understanding these complexities and the complexities you'll likely face in a project and how to best overlay those activities on a timeline. We also have a variety of resources available for you to take a deep dive into the land entitlement process specifically, or what due diligence items you should consider before buying a piece of land. Now, you can reach out to me directly if you have questions or concerns about current or future projects of yours, or you just want to brainstorm. And please, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and that'll keep you up to date on content to help you through your real estate, investing, and development journeys. You can also check out our site for more real estate insights at marsh-partners.com. Now, feel free to leave me a comment if there are any other topics you're interested in or you'd like me to cover. And again, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button if you want more content like this, and thanks again for watching.